Well, welcome to the 700 Club. The Senate Judiciary Committee is ready to hear testimony on the allegations of sexual assault against Judge Brett Kavanaugh. But now his accuser says she's not ready to talk. Christine Ford says she wants the FBI to investigate her charges before she testifies.
Committee Republicans say Monday is her chance to come forward and state her case. If she doesn't, they plan to go forward with the vote. CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson reports on the swirling controversy.
Republicans delayed a committee vote on Judge Kavanaugh this week to take Dr. Christine Blasey Ford up on her offer to share her allegations against the nominee. Then late Tuesday, she changed her tune, saying she doesn't want to appear until the FBI looks into her claims.
If she is not going to be part of the hearing, that would be a very interesting and unfortunate turn of events.
Democrats have also pushed for an FBI investigation.
I came here because of how Anita Hill was handled, and the one thing I do know is that committee members need to have the facts. That's why they're asking for an FBI background investigation, and I believe that that would produce a much better hearing.
But Grassley says the FBI investigation is closed, and the president agrees.
I don't think the FBI really should be involved because they don't want to be involved. They say this is not really their thing. But I think politically speaking, the senators will do a very good job.
Trump tweeted the Supreme Court is one of the main reasons he got elected, and he hopes Republicans are watching the Democrats' playbook. Meanwhile, Judge Kavanaugh is ready to share his story on Monday, but Dr. Ford has not agreed to either a private or public hearing with the committee. The committee also reached out to the third person Ford claimed was in the room with them, Mark Judge. Judge refused to appear, saying in a statement he has no memory of the alleged incident and never saw Brett act in the manner Dr. Ford describes. Evangelist Franklin Graham told CBN News he thinks this allegation is a tactic to keep conservatives off the bench and that we shouldn't hold people accountable for something they did as a teenager.
This is just an attempt to smear him. They couldn't find anything else in his record, and so this is just an attempt to smear him and just smear his name and put a black dot on it. And I hope the Senate is smarter than this, and they're not going to let this stop the process from moving forward and confirming this man.
Grassley's office says the invitation for Dr. Ford to testify on Monday still stands, and that nothing the FBI does would have any bearing on what she tells the committee, adding there is no reason for any further delay. Reporting from Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, if this is something out of a Democrat playbook, if this is an 11th hour delaying tactic, well, then shame on the Democrats. This is talk about taking someone and just destroying their reputation. And then you're not willing to testify in front of a closed hearing. I can understand you don't want to be on international news, but if you're making allegations, you're saying this person's unfit for the Supreme Court. Well, these are the very people that are deciding that. The Judiciary Committee, he's got to pass that vote in order to go to the full Senate for confirmation. These are the decision makers. This is the jury that you need to present the case before. So if all of this is a delaying tactic, well, then shame on the Democrats. In other news, President Trump visits North Carolina today to see firsthand the damage of Hurricane Florence. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. The president's visit comes as floodwaters still cover large parts of the state. The video that you're about to see is not a river. It's actually Interstate 40 in North Carolina. Rivers have swelled even higher after Hurricane Florence dumped trillions of gallons of water. Coast Guard crews are working around the clock airlifting families to safety. Meanwhile, in Wilmington, people are waiting in line for hours for food and water. Right now, 10,000 people are still in shelters, and some have no homes to return to. Well, North Korea has agreed to dismantle a testing site for intercontinental ballistic missiles. South Korea's President Moon made the announcement at a joint press briefing with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Moon says international inspectors will be on site to witness the facility's closing. The leaders also signed an agreement to establish peace between the two Koreas, technically still at war. U.S. religious leaders are urging companies not to do business with Turkey as long as American pastor Andrew Brunson remains in prison. Turkish and American business leaders will meet for an investment conference next week. Turkey's president is expected to attend, but faith leaders say he can't be trusted as long as Brunson is in jail. The U.S. Commission on International Freedom sent a letter to President Trump expressing its concerns about the pastor who has been languishing in jail for the past 2 years. Gordon, back to you.
Well, I agree with this. We need to really hold Turkey accountable for their actions. They've falsely accused and falsely imprisoned Pastor Brunson. It's all a hostage situation. They've offered to trade him for a cleric, a Muslim cleric that currently lives in Pennsylvania. That cleric and President Erdogan were all part of a political movement a few years ago, and then they had a falling out. So what Turkey wants is this Muslim cleric to come back to face trial and presumably to be executed. We should never cave into that kind of demand. There was a deal supposedly made where Israel would release a Turkish citizen in one of their jails in exchange for Pastor Brunson. President Trump thought that deal was in place, and then Turkey backed out. Well, they need to pay the consequences here. If you're going to be a member of the international community, you can't take other citizens of other countries and put them in jail on trumped-up charges. There has to be consequences for it. And one of those is, well, we don't have to do business with you anymore.